Good evening. My name is Christy Savakinas, and I am the Director of Technology at Pittston Area School District. I would like to welcome everyone to our virtual school board meeting for February 16th, 2021. Attendees tonight include the Board of Education members, our Superintendent, Mr. Kevin Booth, Business Manager, Mr. Al Malone, and Solicitor Attorney Samuel Falcone. Also attending are members of the District Administrative Team and our Board Secretary, Mrs. Dawn Licata. Mrs. Licata will be available to field questions for those attending via the live stream. For those of you attending live, please note that there is a link available on the website to download and view tonight's agenda. The agenda will not be shown during the live stream, so we can focus on the board members as they present the agenda. At any point during the meeting, you can direct questions by emailing Mrs. Licata at dawn.licata@pittstonarea.com. Mrs. Licata's email address can also be found on the homepage of the Pittston Area School District website, www.pittstonarea.com. I would like to start the meeting showcasing our fourth grade teachers as they present the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join in with them.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to our school board president, Dr. Frank Serino. Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy. At this time, I'd like to call the public work session, Tuesday, February 16th, to order. Roll call.
Mr. Anizio?
Present.
Dr. Cooper?
Here.
Mr. Crawford?
Here.
Mr. Knick?
Here.
Mr. Lawler?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Ms. Ricotta?
Here.
Mr. Salvo? Mr. Salvo? Mr. Salvo?
Seems to be having a technical problem. We'll catch up with them.
Okay. And Dr. Serino?
Here. I'd like to turn the meeting over to Superintendent. Kevin, your agenda, please.
Thank you, Dr. Serino. I would like to begin by sharing some information about our reopening plan. We are shooting for March 15th to reopen in a hybrid manner for grades K through 4. As we mentioned in the last month's meeting, we are still in a substantial phase. With that, the Department of Education has allowed us or recommends for us to open in a hybrid manner for our elementary students. Right now, that is going to be our focus, to try to get our K to 4 students in a hybrid model. The amount of time that students do come to school is really going to depend upon how many students are wanting to come back and how much that we can socially distance students in our class. I'm going to turn this over to a short PowerPoint to give some of the specifics of what we're thinking about. So as I said, we're looking to open grades K through 4. On Friday, the CDC came out with new guidance on reopening, and they highlighted 5 key mitigation strategies. Those strategies are, number 1, universal and correct use of masks. We will make sure that students have masks on at all times. The second is physical distancing. 3, hand washing and respiratory etiquette. 4, cleaning and maintaining healthy facilities. And 5, contact tracing in combination with isolation and quarantine in collaboration with the health department. With these mitigation strategies in mind, our plan right now provides for two options, an in-person option and a hybrid option. In the in-person option, families selecting this option will attend school in person during an AM session from 8:45 to approximately 11:40. From 1 o'clock to 3:23, students in this option will receive their related arts, their Title I services, and be working on asynchronous activities directed by their classroom teachers in Schoology. Students will be provided in-person instruction a minimum of 2 days per week, with the potential for up to 5 days per week based on the social distancing guidelines. Again, the CDC, their two main mitigation strategies are masking and social distancing. So the amount of students that want to return are going to dictate how many days of live instruction we're going to be able to provide. We are not going to put more than 16 to 18 students in a room based upon social distancing guidelines and the size of the students. Obviously, we'll be able to get a few more kindergarten students in than we would a fourth grade student. If we can only do a 2-day scenario based on the amount of students that want to return, if we get over that 18 to 20 to 24, we'll need to break the groups into two. We would have a group A that would attend in person on Mondays and Thursdays, and group B would attend in person Tuesdays and Friday. And all students would be virtual on Wednesday. In this scenario, group A will receive live virtual instruction in the PM on the days that they're not in person, which would, in this case, would be Tuesday and Friday. Group B on Monday and Thursday. And all groups will receive live instruction 5 days per week. For those that do not want to come back to an in-person setting, we still have a full virtual learning option. The full virtual learning option will be a flip of the in-person. While the in-person students are in class with their teachers, the virtual students will be working on their related arts, their Title I services, and the asynchronous activities directed by their classroom teachers, and then they would flip. And the virtual students would be live with their teachers from 1 o'clock till 3:23. If an in-person students are on a 2-day in-person schedule, again, all groups will be virtual all day on Wednesday. With this option, or these two options, it allows for our teachers, especially our teachers teaching our kindergarten, our first grade teachers, second grade, third grade, all the way up to fourth grade, to give their undivided attention to those students that are in front of them. With the kindergarten student and that age student, it is very difficult for a teacher to be able to give their undivided attention to students live in person in a room and also virtually at home. We believe right now, this gives our students and our teachers the best option to deliver instruction to our students. Grades K to 4, as I said, class sizes, we would like to stay between 15 and 18. If we stay at a number of 15 to 18, we will have school 5 days a week for our students. All classes will be self-contained. This is one of the reasons why we're sticking with K to 4. The elementary setup allows for self-containment of the classes, allows for minimal amounts of movement. Our students would be able to stay in the classroom without moving around the building. All related arts are going to be offered virtually, as well as our Title I services. Students unable to view lessons live will have the opportunity to make up work at a later time in the day, similar to what they do now. Lunch and breakfast will be grab and go. We will not have students in the cafeteria. We'll be utilizing hallway monitors to aid students in their social distancing and hand washing while they are moving about the building, going to our lavatories. With our health and safety plan, parents are going to be required to take their child's temperature prior to sending them to school and complete a septic check. Temperatures will be taken at school as students enter each building in a variety of manners. All students must wear a face covering, a cloth mask or a face shield that covers their nose and mouth inside the school and while outside at all times. Masks must be worn at all times. Physical distancing between desks to the greatest maximum space possible will be employed. Every room will have daily disinfection. Hand sanitizing liquid will be in each classroom and throughout the building. Traffic patterns will be altered in buildings, creating one-way patterns when feasible. Arrival and dismissal procedures will be staggered to alleviate hallway traffic. Sharing of materials will be limited. And again, this plan will be fluid and may be amended at any time to ensure the health, safety, and well-being of our students. As far as transportation, we're going to encourage one student per seat if it's possible, with a maximum of 2 students per seat. Students will have assigned seats to aid in contact tracing. Masks, again, must be worn at all times. Windows may remain open when weather conditions permit. Buses will be loaded from back to front and unloaded from front to back. Our start and stop times will be changed to allow for a staggered delivery, and buses and vans will be disinfected after each run. Okay, we back here. So with that said, as we're putting this plan together and talking with different schools and other schools that have been doing things, there right now is no perfect plan. Any plan that we put out is going to inconvenience someone. Our goal is to try to get our students to in-person instruction as much as possible. If that is 2.5 hours per day right now, 5 days a week, it's 2.5 hours and 5 days more than we're doing right now. It will allow our teachers to get eyes on our students, to interact with our students in a personal way. It will allow our students to interact with each other. I completely understand people's viewpoints that this is not a perfect plan and it may inconvenience people. That is only a half day of in-person instruction. We've taken all that into account. And as of now, we think this is going to be the best plan as we're moving forward. As numbers dictate, and teachers will be reaching out to parents and families to see where they're at with this, that plan may change. If we could get, all students in 5 days a week, and meet all these social distancing guidelines, then that's what we'll do. But our most important thing right now is safety. So masking and social distancing are the 2 top mitigation strategies from the CDC. We don't anticipate this plan to last forever, but it is going to get our students into the buildings on March 15th. So I know that there's public input rolling in, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. Our building principals, along with myself and Dr. Haas, will be holding town halls with parents as we did in the beginning of the year to answer questions for parents and concerns. And again, these plans, we've put several plans together. We've talked with several schools, and this is a very fluid thing. And this virus goes up, it goes down. We make a plan, things change. So right now, this is the plan. We understand it's not perfect, but this is what we're going to be doing beginning on March 15th. So with that, I'm going to begin my agenda, and then we'll answer some questions as we go through. Under communications, C1, that the communication received from the LIU 18 enclosing copies of its meeting held on December 15th be acknowledged as received and placed on file. C2, that communication received from the Wilkes-Barre Area Career and Technical Center with their meeting minutes from January 25th be acknowledged and received and placed on file. C3, that the assessment notices, abatements, and additionals received from Luzerne County Board of Assessment Appeals be acknowledged as received. C4, that the applications for permit to use school facilities be acknowledged, received, approved, and ratified. We have no bids. Under finance, F1, that the budget from the Luzerne Intermediate Unit 18 for fiscal year July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022 be acknowledged as received, approved, and placed on file. That the communication from the Luzerne County Board of Assessment Appeals requesting a refund of paid taxes made to the following be approved. Under general, G1, that the new Pittston Area School Board Policy 622 GASB Statement 34 be approved and placed on file, and that the revised Pittston Area School Board Policy 351.1 pre-employment drug testing be approved and placed on file. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there any new business from any board members? Mr. Inizio, you have any updates from the IU?
I do, Dr. Serino. We met last night, the LIU board, with the purpose of discussing contract with the LIU Lighthouse Academy up on 315. We awarded 4 contracts, and they are as follows. The general construction contract went to Scandale General Contracting for a price of $3,940,700. The HVAC construction contract was awarded to Scranton Electrical Heating Cooling Service at a cost of $867,459. For the plumbing construction contract, that was awarded to Scranton Electric Heating and Cooling Service at a cost of $577,365.63. For our fire protection construction contract, that was awarded to Integrity at a cost of $181,555. And for our electrical construction contract, we awarded that to Brennan Electric at a cost of $539,388 for a total project cost of $6,106,467.63. Now, the beauty thing about this, Dr. Serino, that we will be able to pay this money with funds that we already have that we use annually to pay for leasing different buildings throughout the area to take care of these children. So these children will have a brand new facility to go into, and God bless them. I hope this all works out the way we're looking, and I'm very happy with this. Thank you.
It sounds very good, John, especially the fact that kids are going to have their own facility, and the fact that it's going to be using money that was going out. Right. Anyway, it's now an investment, and I think it's a great idea, John.
Thank you.
Wilkes-Barre Career and Technical Center, Mr. Knick, anything new?
No, basically trying to work on getting the students back in the classroom like every other school. I would have a question for Mr. Booth. It was posed to me by numerous parents that once we go to this hybrid with the lower grades, are we considering letting the Career and Technical Center kids return?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any public input, Kev?
Yes, sir. From Lynn sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly, Bartolrio. Please look and provide what has been completed at the Intermediate Center in middle school to certify that COVID air purification, air conditioning, and heating units are up to COVID code and certified. Can you please confirm hot water is accessible to wash hands? I have been advised that several students' labs do not have hot water. Please also explain if automatic hand sanitizer, automatic soap dispenser, and paper towel dispensers have been installed. How many children will be in class from 6 feet or more apart as per CDC recommendations? And will plexiglass be installed around students' desks as protection for teachers? Just to try to touch on some of that, our air conditioning units do allow the adequate amount of fresh air in currently of what code is. We are looking into purchasing more purification. That is something that will have to go out to bid as we're receiving these federal dollars. So those are things that are coming that may add another layer of mitigation. Hot water is accessible in the lavatories. We do not have automatic hand sanitizers or soap dispensers or paper towel dispensers. There are paper towel dispensers, but they are not automatic. We did install automatic faucets in the bathrooms, in all bathrooms throughout the district. And again, we are following CDC recommendations for social distancing. That is why we're only going to be allowing between 15 to 18 students per room. Derek Fasciaponte, when are children going to get back into the classroom? Parents voted with overwhelming majority back in September, and the district continues to drag its feet. Other school districts throughout the area, big and smaller than ours, are at least in hybrid mode. The teachers are doing a phenomenal job given the circumstances and also want to return. Bottom line is virtual learning isn't as effective. Kids aren't being challenged. They're bored and not focused. I have a 6-year-old daughter. We voted for in-person learning. We want her in school, as do a majority of parents. Why is 5th grade not being considered elementary grade? Just because it's moved into the middle school and does not mean it's not elementary. One of the major reasons that we're not including 5th and 6th grade at this time is the social distancing aspect and students having multiple teachers throughout the day, which would force them to move about the building without a complete upheaval of who their teachers are and what specific teachers are teaching. Right now, the plan is to not include 5th and 6th grade. Do you have any plan? This is from Joyce. Do you have any plan on the middle school going back? Right now, again, we're focused on K to 4. As things change, we're going to continue to plan, and our goal is to get all students back K to 12. If we're successful with our K to 4, we're going to start bringing different grade levels back as much as we can. What changes for in-person learning? This is from Ann Chardine. What changes for in-person learning when our area goes back to moderate or low COVID rates? COVID rates are going down, and hopefully it won't be long until our area moves out of substantial spread. Again, as the things change, we're looking to get more and more students back as soon as we can. John Warnick, just wanted to say that I support the idea of getting the kids back into school 100%, and hopefully you can get more grades to attend in the future. The teachers are doing a great job. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you. From Erica Teixeira, at the beginning of the year, 5th and 6th grade, we're going back full time. Missy Conway, my question is, if you're sending the children and teachers back into these buildings and putting them at risk, does this mean you feel it is safe enough for you as a school board to be meeting in person? Is your next meeting going to be in person in March? I feel as though if you can expect the children and teachers to be in the building, then you as a board should be in person. I believe that is the hope, that we will be back in person next month. And congratulations to Kara Murphy, qualifying 2nd at district orchestra auditions. She moves forward to regionals. Daria Brick, I write to you as a concerned parent of a first grade Pittston area primary center student and hope that this letter allows you to see things not only from my perspective, but also possibly this perspective of many other full-time working parents. We're on the verge of almost 1 year of dealing with the wrath of COVID-19. I appreciate all the hard work and efforts that the board has done in trying to keep all of our students and teachers safe, but we need a logical plan in place to get everyone back to school. Sending the students back for 2.5 hours is by far one of the most illogical things that I have ever heard that the district wants to do. The board shared much more logical plans when the pandemic first hit, and I do not understand why we are not entertaining those plans now, such as sending grades K through 4 back in person and having them dispersed throughout all the district's buildings in following social distancing guidelines, or even the original hybrid format where grades K through 4 would be split into groups A and B, attending in person 2 days a week, each having their other days remain virtual. Any reason why we have gone away from those original proposed plans? Not only does your tentative plan cause issues for working parents who would need to leave work to pick up their child and then go back to work, but it causes even bigger problems for the children. These children need structure, they need routine, and they need socialization. Going back for 2.5 hours gives them none of that. So what's the point? Please help me understand where and why this tentative plan is even being entertained. Not to mention there are other school districts in our area who have been open with full-time schedules for their students during the past few months. Some have even followed the hybrid model for several months and have operated pretty well. If we're going to get our students and teachers back to school, let's be logical about the choices we are making in getting that done. When are we looking at getting the high school back? My son is a senior and has not had a year to remember. Also, are there any plans for graduation? From Tara Lang. We don't have graduation plans. We don't anticipate, I should say, having graduation on the field. The date hasn't been set yet, but it's our hope, again, to get as many students back as quickly as we can. And in talks with our administrative team, the seniors are one of our first priorities in getting back to school. What is the timeline that we're looking for to return K-4 for the remainder grades? Again, we don't have a timeline set in stone. March 15th is our return for K-4. Steve Ferrugia, you stated in your agenda to roll out your plan to return students. What classification and certification or did you receive during the COVID pandemic? And how can you state that a student is getting a quality education with your plan when students would be actually only receiving 2.5 hours of hands-on education with a teach, not an educational decision from an educator? Well, thank you for your opinion, Mr. Ferrugia. We're going to try to do the best we can and give as much in-person instruction as we can and give as much asynchronous instruction as we can. I know our teachers will do a great job. That's it for public input.
Thanks, Kevin. At this time, I'd like to call the regularly scheduled board meeting of Tuesday, February 16th to order. Roll call.
Mr. Anizio,
Present.
Dr. Cooper,
Here.
Mr. Crawford, Mr. Crawford,
Here.
Mr. Knick,
Here.
Mr. Lawler,
Here.
Mr. Quinn,
Here.
Ms. Rakota,
Here.
Mr. Salvo,
Here.
and Dr. Serino.
Here. The board met in exec session Monday, February 15th at 5 p.m. in the library of the Pittston Area High School for the purpose of discussing personnel, and Wednesday, February 3rd at 5 p.m. in the high school library. Approved minutes of the meeting. Motion.
Motion, Mr. Anizio.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford, Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
okay, Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Under communications, communications C1 through C4 be acknowledged as received, approved where noted, and placed on file. Motion?
Motion, Mr. Quinn.
Second.
Second, Mr. Knick.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford, Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Under finance at F1 through F2 be approved. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Under general, that G1 through G2 be acknowledged as received, approved where noted, and placed on file. Motion?
Motion, Mr. Lawler.
Second, Mr. Salvo.
Second, Mike Crawford.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Under personnel, that P1 through P10 be accepted and approved and placed on file. Motion?
Motion, Mr. Agnizio.
Second, Mike Crawford.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Under P11, upon administrative recommendation that Michael D'Alessandro be appointed to the position of full-time maintenance custodial, salary and benefits as per contractual agreements.
Motion, Mr. Agnizio.
Second, Mr. Salvo.
Lawler.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Under finance and business reports, that FB1 through FB7 for the month of January be accepted as presented and filed. A motion?
Motion.
Second, Mr. Salvo.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
On FB4, I'm going to abstain on bills payable on invoice 102. All the other ones, yes.
okay.
Or that's 121, I'm sorry. Invoice
121,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Any new business from the board? Kevin, any additional public input?
Yes, Lynn Bartorio, thank you for your response. I would also like to state all the teachers are doing a fantastic job. The children are enjoying seeing their teachers and friends. I've told all three of my children's teachers we appreciate everything they are doing for the children. These are trying times and everyone is doing their best. That's it.
Thank you. At this point, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion, Mr. Knick.
Second.
All in favor? All in
Mr. Quinn.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye.